Welcome to the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing the key ingredients to transform your employees into a dream team, creating consistent results in every aspect of your business, including your people, your process, and your profits. Your team empowerment, leadership, business development, communication, hiring, and firing. As some of the country's leading staffing and management consultants, we help business owners, i.e. entrepreneurs, and the team that support them, what we call intrapreneurs, to powerfully connect and work together to grow the business. This episode is all about 5 ways to make business miracles happen. So often I will hear from attorneys and team alike when they're in distress or struggling or not producing the results that they are intending to. It is going to take a miracle to make X happen. And I always chuckle when I hear that from entrepreneurs, from business owners, because if you take a moment and pause and look at everything that you have accomplished up until this point, and when I interview people on my podcast or talk to attorneys about their origin story, their backstory, what got them to where they are right now, there isn't a tremendous amount of clarity, intentionality, and strategy for every single move that they made, for every result and success that they have produced. And so you have created miracles. There's evidence and proof of that everywhere within your team, within your law firm, your systems, your processes, and your profitability, and your client success and satisfaction testimonials. And when I hear this, I'm like, okay, well, let's break down the definition of a miracle. And you go out to the good old Google, and there's a few definitions that really resonated in essence of today's episode. Definition of a miracle: a highly improbable or extraordinary event, development, or accomplishment that brings very welcome consequences. It was a miracle they won that Super Bowl again, is the example and the sentence that they used to drive that definition home. Another definition that I liked was an amazing product or achievement or an outstanding example of something. A miracle drug. That was a miracle drug. Well, when you look at that, it is not a quote unquote miracle per se. There was strategy that went into it. What created the feeling or the experience of a miracle was that there was some tension. There was crisis. There was healthy stakes or maybe unhealthy stakes. There was cause, effect. There were consequences. There was, this has to work. Something has to work. And you've heard me say it once. You've heard me say it a million times. Fear, chaos, tragedy, and a breakdown is a beautiful opportunity for action. And it really, truly does not have to be that way. However, there are times and circumstances and situations in our business that we do need a business miracle. And it does need to happen, whatever that might be. So when you find yourself in a place, and honestly, my recommendation, my invitation to you all is, let's stop getting out of crisis mode. You know, one definition I had heard before that I really, really liked is failure to plan is the catalyst for crisis. And when people have failure to plan or follow through is what traditionally creates crisis within a business environment. And so I really want to walk through today 5 ways to make business miracles happen. And again, my invitation is that you really listen to this and adopt it into your best practice habits every day. So when the time does come for we need a miracle, it is fun. It is an invitation. It's a challenge. It's something that you're going to conquer, slay. You're going to hustle, but without all the anxiety and all of the white knuckling attached to it. So examples of a miracle in regards to, I have a client, oh man alive, I love her so much. She's in California, and we get on our weekly calls, and I get to see it all over her face. I'm like, what's going on? We don't have any money. Cash flow is down, and we're closing on our building tomorrow. Well, the first scenario was, and we bought a family cabin up in the mountains, and we need $15,000 for closing on Monday. Our call's on Thursday. I'm like, okay, all right, we need 15 grand. We need a miracle. We need 15 grand. I have the closing at noon, and I have no idea where this money is going to come from. Well, lo and behold, we real quick do a locker room huddle. We come up with, I call her client service coordinator in, I call her marketing director in, and we come up with a strategy to be able to bring in the money. And it wasn't just 15. I'm like, okay, guys, let's bring in 20. Let's get a cushion here, what have you. Lo and behold, I'm like, you need to text me end of business Friday, guys. You are getting that money come hell or high water. Sure enough, I get a text. It was 16,000 and some change. 1,000 over. Couple months later, we're on a call. We need 20 grand for the closing. We're buying a building, and we need 20 grand for the closing on Tuesday. Well, it's Wednesday this week that we had that call. We need 20 grand. Son of a gun, does she not bring in $24,000? Every single time. Now she giggles at it. Now she absolutely loves it. And this is by and large the strategy that we followed, and I really captured it, and I want to share it with you today because every single time, she's not a quick start. She's not a risk taker. Just sweet as American pie, so humble, not necessarily exudes a tremendous amount of Tony Robbins energy, came to the call with a look of terror on her face, a look of defeat on her face, and a tremendous amount of worry and wonder just pumping out of her veins. Until we could really, really shift that, because she had so much evidence. I mean, now it's fun. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What's our miracle this week? Let's just have fun. Let's play with it. How much? I would love $25,000 extra. And now it's consistently coming in. Now the additional miracle money that we need is fund money to invest back into the business for a Facebook strategy, or for doing an event out in there, wine, what is it? Wine and Wills, and, or Planning and Pints, or whatever it might be, fun events that we can give away, amazing gifts and things of that to really up level the branding and the client experience. All right, so let's dive into, you all know what that miracle is that you are seeking. If it's in regards to money, if it's in regards to leads, if it's in regards to opportunity, if it's in regards to pulling off an event that you have that somebody dropped the ball on, if it's in regards to being able to come up with $30,000 to invest in that coach that you've been wanting to, or to invest in that organization that you want to, or take your team on that cruise you've been wanting to, we all know, or it might be survival money, the miracle money, no shame or blame or anything. Step one is declare your miracle. Write it down right now. And just like we did, she said it, and I'm like, stop. Go get your team right now. Go get client services. Go get the marketing coordinator. Bring them in right now. Tell them to stop whatever they're doing and bringing it. And we declared it right then and there to the team. Number two, So you have to share it with someone because your team will get behind you to help you with that. Entrepreneurs and attorneys have all this head trash about, well, I don't want to share numbers with them, or I don't want to freak them out, or how in the world are they going to help? They're not responsible for bringing in revenue. Stop. Just stop shooting and coming up with all the reasons and excuses of why. My very first coach said, reasons and excuses are the cemetery for your dreams. And I love that. I love that so much. So step 1, declare your miracle. And it might be miracles. Doesn't have to just be one. And you have to share it with someone. Step 2, stop yourself from ever saying again, I don't have time. And communicate to your team, they are not ever to say that again. I did a podcast a couple weeks ago that said, employees, stop saying that you don't have time anymore. Or some version of that. I can't really remember right now. But it was about, I know what it was. Employees, stop saying I didn't have time. So just eradicate that from your language. If you're no longer to say that, and you're able to shift it from, where am I going to find the time? How much time is it going to take for Susie to do the Dialing for Dollars campaign? How much time is it going to take for Rachel to have to be able to finish up these 5 cases and that we're able to move money out of the trust account? How much time? Okay, great. Do we have it right now available in the calendar, and can we move stuff? It quite possibly could be no. Okay, so what are we willing to do for this? Your team will say all the time to, why don't we all work late Tuesday night? It's probably going to take Susie 4. She could take some of the stuff in the day and put it at night for her production, drafting, what have you. It's going to take Rachel about 16 hours, what have you. How about that we all come in this weekend? How about we all work Tuesday night and get pizza or what have you? Your team want to do this. So include them. But no longer say, I don't have time. There's an excuse. Nobody else has any more time than you do. None of us have some secret stash of time that you were robbed of. Nobody's figured out how to create more than 7 days in a week and 24 hours in a day. But they're very, very strategic about it, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. So often I'll hear from attorneys, did you record that podcast? Did you go ahead and, were you able to go call that client back and close that deal? Were you able to do the 3 hours of work that you needed to do to be able to move $50,000 out of the trust account or what have you? I don't have time. Well, what time did you leave the office this week? Walk me through when you got there and when you left. Walk me through your weekend. You do have time. You just chose to do something different. You just chose to not pull an all-nighter to do it. So it either tells me that you don't really want it that bad, or you just have this subconscious mindset of consistently self-sabotaging yourself, or you're overwhelmed, or you don't even know where to start with the matter because we're so behind on it. Declare it and bring other people in and have them sit there with you if that's what it's going to take, and babysit you as you talk out loud and whiteboard it and dig in the file, whatever it is. Accountability is a beautiful, beautiful miracle worker. Number 3, stop using the language eradicate it from everybody in your firm. Heck, I even tell my 19-year-old and 16-year-old when they say, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you are never allowed to say that. In fact, they don't ever say that anymore. I don't know what to do is an excuse to do absolutely nothing. And man alive, do I wish I have understood this lesson earlier in life. Just because you don't know exactly what to do does not mean you should sit around and do nothing. Just because you don't know precisely, exactly, and you don't have a guarantee this is 100% the next right move you should make, then people do nothing. And that's why you don't get the miracles that you see all of your colleagues having. And you're like, they're full of crap. Like, there's no way they're making that money. There's no way they're only working 3 days a week or 4 days a week or what have you. Oh, no, they're not. I see their P&Ls. I see their time templates. I see their production schedule, and I talk to their team. They are doing that. So saying I don't know what to do is an excuse. What you're really trying to say is that I don't know exactly, and I don't have a guarantee that if I do something that it 100% will produce the results that I absolutely positively need them to produce, and they need to look like that. Because another time when I didn't know what to do, I did something and it was a colossal disaster. Or it didn't work and I didn't get the results that I wanted to do, that I thought that I was guaranteed. When you take a positive step in your life, any positive step, a way forward will appear. 1%. Progress, not perfection. The 2 millimeter shift. And don't be surprised if the positive step you take leads to something that's completely unrelated to the action you just took. For example, clear out all the clutter in your house, and you may find something that was once unclear about what to do in your career, and now it's crystal clear. Take a course to build a new skill, and you end up meeting someone who becomes absolutely one of your best referral sources for life. They're just handing you money hand over fist. I don't know what to do to network. I don't know what to do community outreach, to get out there, what have you. Lo and behold, you go to the golf tournament. I hear this all the time. I had a partner once that would call it the $10,000 breakfast. Literally pissing and moaning and bitching about going to the breakfast with this deadbeat financial advisor that I don't even know him, and he's going to be talking about blah, 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 and just asking me and bitching because we never send them referrals, whatever. Go, get in your car and shut up and get off the freaking listserv. $10,000 for 1 hour at Denny's. When you begin a new exercise habit, it gets healthier for you. You find that your confidence soars in all areas of your life. We've talked about this for years in regards to exercise. It's the greatest example of that. So really stop saying that I don't know what to do and say, what's my next right move? And typically, when you don't know what to do, that is really, truly just fear talking. And it's a really, really convenient excuse, and people let you off the hook with that. If you did know what to do, what would be the very next step you would do? Get in the car and drive to the networking event, go to the golf tournament, go wherever, and just show up and do it. Just hit record and do your intro for your podcast or whatever it is. Don't turn it into this massive, like Hamburger Hill project. Just get in action. So tell yourself, you have to write it on a sticky note. You're no longer allowed to say these two statements. I don't have time and I don't know what to do. They're the biggest cop-out, and they are 100% fear talking. And they 100% keep you stuck. Step 4 is to step out of your routine. And you've probably heard the expression, if You always do what you've always done. You always get what you've always gotten. Or the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and producing this, expecting different results is a definition of insanity. And I don't believe that that either one of those are true. Because if you do it differently, even 1% differently, if you've always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Or doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, that's a load of crap. That's not true. Because you are doing it differently. The way that you did marketing, if you did a marketing campaign or whatever it might be, or hiring a COO or hiring a marketing coordinator, did that last year, did that 5 years ago, it was a disaster. I'm not doing it again because it did not work. Your mindset, hopefully, was not the same that it is today. Who you are in your business is not the same that it was yesterday, 2 years ago, what have you. If you are on a path of growth, you are doing it differently. Even that 1% can make the biggest difference. And I'm telling you, that is the difference of the people that have a coach, that are paying $30,000 to coach with whomever that you see them talking about on Lawyer on the Beach and all these other Facebook groups. Their numbers are real. It makes me so crazy when people are like, their numbers aren't real. These guys are full of crap. I'm like, no, they're not. I see their books. And do you think that they didn't, when they started out or 10 years in or 2 weeks in or what have you, that they didn't try something and it didn't go right? It did not produce the results they thought it was going to be. But then they went in and did it again. It wasn't precisely that way. It was different. I don't think you can even count on that being that good, because I've seen that if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you often get diminishing results. Diminishing, not the same. It is not insanity. And that's the breakdown point of I need a miracle. Because you're doing something differently. And so often people will be like, when they call and they're in crisis and they need a miracle, and some people really truly do, or else they're closing up shop. Like payroll's not getting paid on Friday. They do need a miracle. And every person, when I have them do a brain dump and we come up with 2, 3, 5 things that they can do, we know exactly how much time it's going to take, who they're going to recruit, who's going to help them to do it. The number one thing they said, I've tried that and it didn't work. Always, always. Like, I'm going to invite you. Like, that is no longer, and you're not allowed to say that either anymore. When you step out of your routine, really, truly, some people say your comfort zone, your comfort trap, you have to get uncomfortable. No, I don't really think, because that doesn't feel good. And who gets excited about getting uncomfortable and being completely naked and exposed and vulnerable? Like, no, that's not. I don't like that. I don't think that really excites anyone or empowers anybody. But when you look at your routine of what you're doing, so terminology that will resonate with a lot of people that have been in strategic coach and any of those other organizations is your time template, your hardwired calendar, your peak performance time template. That's your routine. So, you've seen studies, brush your teeth with the opposite hand, write with the opposite hand for 20 minutes. It rewires your brain. You see things differently. So I'm not talking about getting uncomfortable and trying to show up and do a webinar and look like Tony freaking Robbins. Like, no, that it won't even land or resonate. Like, it look like a clown, like a goofball, and it won't feel good and it won't produce a result. So I'm not saying that. Like that, it's about getting out of your routine. and eradicating this baloney about that you've already done it, we've already tried it, the definition of insanity. I hate that definition. It's not true. So look at the things that you need a miracle in. Look at your routine. And in fact, every week when you're doing your self-management meeting and you're doing your weekly planning, look at where, people will say they're in a rut, they're stuck, what have you. What that just means is your routine needs to be shaken up. I'm so structured. I'm so rigid. I don't feel like the last day of vacation, the last 2 days of vacation, I'm like antsy and anxious and what have you, because I'm missing my routine. I love my routine. And I work really, really hard of talking myself out of that and being like, oh, this is just a trick. It's like you're thinking that the other shoe's going to drop, so to speak, because you're out of your routine. Your routine is not your best friend all the time. There is a need for standards. There is a need for structure. But your routine has to be shaken up, especially when you're not getting the results that you need. You need a miracle. You need a business miracle. You need any kind of miracle. That is when you have to look at where in your routine that you need to have a breakdown. Don't even go to, I've already done that. Yes, you might have gotten diminishing results. Yes, you may have gotten horrible results, but they absolutely, positively will not be the same, especially if you are coming from the perspective of that, like, I got infinite time and I'm going to know exactly what to do as my next right step. And you're recruiting other people, your team. You're treating it like a think tank. You're treating it like a brain dump. You will have to be willing to step out of your routines, to broaden your horizons, to get a new perspective, to, yes, bust through your comfort zones. And sure, you might experience bumps, bruises, pitfalls along the way. But the courage and the bravery and the willingness will be rewarded, absolutely. But sitting around complaining about how you're stuck and you don't have time and you don't have the results and sitting there, well, yes, that is a definition of insanity from my perspective. That is absolutely the definition of insanity. Last step 5. We are not made to do this alone. I'm going to be as bold to say, step 5, if you need a miracle today, this week, this quarter, like, guys, we are about 100 days away from the end of 2021. That's insane. There's like 14 weeks. So there's 14 weeks of client meetings or 14 more of your weekly marketing meetings, give or take. That's insane. I can't even believe I'm saying this. But step 5 is you need to hire a business coach, a coach. If you do not have a coach that you are meeting with every single week, you and your team, call it a coach, call it a consultant, call it what have you, that is kicking your butt and holding you accountable to your dreams in spite of yourself sometimes, you and your team. Like, I will have my clients that will constantly say to me, I see you on my calendar, and I'm not going to lie, I break out in a bit of a sweat. I really don't know if I want to hug you or punch you. Because sometimes when we show up on calls, you're loving us, and the next time you go sideways on us, and we all are walking out of there feeling like shit because you just really gave it to us. I'm like, that's when you know you have a really good coach. I'm not here to be your friend and cheerleader. I will make you stop and really, truly, truly pause and look at your celebrations and victories every day. As human beings, we suck at celebration. As business owners, holy moly. We're like, yeah, that was nothing. What's next? But what about this big next problem? So you really, truly need to have a coach that is going to hold you accountable in a way where they will pull out of you what you really, really want, what you really, really desire, and then what you really, really need this week, this month, this quarter. And there's a difference between the three. And always, entrepreneurs focus on the need. And the reason they don't get the need met is because they're missing the desire. And they're not matching the need with the desire. So 5, you have to stop saying you can't afford it, because that's another total mind trash. Like, that's not true. I see in your P&Ls where you guys pay all these legal organizations. I'm like, wait, can you tell me why you have like 5 of these different organizations that you're paying all this money? And when I really break it down, it's just in case, or it's FOMO, fear of missing out. So get a coach. You need accountability. You need consequences. It is a must if you want to, number 1, get these immediate miracles. Because guess what? They're going to help you with, no, it's not the definition of insanity. Yeah, I know you tried that before. Walk me through what you did. And they're going to be able to have a neutral perspective. They're going to be able to hold that neutral ground and really, really be present and to hold space to hear what you did and then help you see the 2%, the 1%, the 2 millimeter piece that was missing in that. And yes, you may have gotten that strategy off the listserv or a Facebook group or another organization, what have you, from before, and it didn't work. But now you have a new perspective there. And they're going to enroll your team, just like I did, where I'm like, whoa, time out. Go grab those 2 and get them in here right now. And they were so excited and delighted about it. They're like, what? Oh my God, game on. Let's do this. And my goal is that it's not just this time of adopting the 5 ways to make a business miracles happen, but these are best practice approaches that you get in the bones and the blood and the fabric of your business. Constantly declaring your miracle. Now I love it. Each week we get on, I'm like, what's the miracle we need right now? Number 2, stop using the terminology and saying you and everyone else in your team, and heck, bring it home to your kids. I don't have time. Number 3, stop using I don't know what to do anymore. It's an excuse to do nothing. Number 4 is to step out of your routine. And then number 5 is to hire and engage a coach that is going to work with you every single week, one small step at a time. Because you're not meant to do it alone. Yes, no, you are not meant to know the precise solution. It's a team-centric approach. And enrolling your team and figuring out who the people are that you enroll, then the coach can just be your accountability cop. When people say to me, I see you on my calendar and I'm sweating a little bit. When I see that, I'm like, yeah, but what's the next thing you do? Tell me what's the next thing you do when you see me on your calendar. Like, oh, I run to my Molly folder and I look at what our homework is. And I'm like, okay, and how much of that homework or were you that you were supposed to do did you get done? Oh, 3 out of 5. Okay, and so the other 2 before our call, and that's when client services will start laughing. They're like, I do the same thing. I'm like, did you get them done? They're like, yep. I go, and why do you think the, expression 2-minute warning is so effective? Like, that's when you see the Hail Mary. Like, that's the beauty of a coach. You won't do that for yourself. We can't do that for ourselves. So I want to hear from you. Let me know. Reach out. Team members, reach out. Get on my calendar. Send me an email. and let me know how you all do with this. In fact, shoot me an email and let me know what your miracles are, and that'll tell me. So when you declare it and share it, that'll tell me that you're serious about it, that you have matched your desire with your want and your need. All right, until next time, this has been another episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions, and I can't wait to hear your results. Go create and make a miracle.